You must be familiar with this term pivoting. It's a common word that's thrown around in the startup world. If you're a startup, chances are that you're still experimenting with pricing models and finding a path to growth. If you're growing well, you want to sustain the momentum. If you're a large business and enterprise, you still want ways to surface great ideas from the grassroots of your company that can show you new avenues of revenue growth. If you're an enterprise with multiple teams, then you have the perfect asset to put in place an idea generating machine, your people. Regardless of whether you're a large enterprise or a startup, if you're experimenting with different business models or trying out new pricing strategies, it's going to come back to hit your core process, billing. And as you scale, the ideal customer profile is going to change too, which means you might have to support shifting needs such as different renewal cycles, contract terms, etc. The solution lies in the problem statement, running experiments. Your revenue infrastructure needs to support these experiments so you can boil your strategies down to execution, all while your payment processes remain unaffected. And that's where companies get caught up in the net of complexities. And I'm sure you've all faced it at some point or are going through it today. That's the first challenge, complexities. The next challenge is dealing with dependencies, mostly on developers. Your engineering team has to take the brunt of requests from multiple teams. And if you're from BillingOps, you'll most likely need their help to roll out new pricing plans, defer the billing date for a customer, tweak the proration logic, etc. And that's the next challenge, competency. Core competencies to effect change lie with different teams outside of your hands. What if there was a way to bring that control into your hands? We look at that further in the certification. The third challenge is compliance. Regulatory compliances are great to help progress the system. However, when there's not much information available, or if there's a deadline around the corner, or if it requires multiple stakeholders to make it work, then it can get pretty messy. They can weigh down on your growth. Dealing with changes in compliance regulations can often mean that you work with different companies like your payment gateways. Take ASA 606 for example, when professionals were frantically reading up to meet the deadline for the new standard. Also, configuring changes when you're selling to different geographies can be a nightmare, especially when you need to keep your processes in sync with the changing norms. If you're managing all your billing logic in-house or don't have the right set of tools in place, you might find it hard to avoid developer dependency. What starts as a simple requirement to automate billing quickly escalates into more complex needs. In the beginning, you're going to have your developers handling billing automation. In other words, when customers subscribe to your plans, you'll bill them every month on a particular date. The problem comes later on as your company scales, adding multiple layers. At the top, you have the needs of the market dictating you to probably sell multiple products or plans. When you have new plans, your marketing team will want to test out new prices and pricing models. You also have new features from the product management team. So your billing logic will need to factor that in as well, as and when these features get developed and are ready for launch. And if you offer additional resources like extra cloud storage for a cost, you're going to have to bundle products together, which means you'll have to depend on your developers again. That's not all. Complex workflows like proration need the BillingOps folks to go back to the developer. So you get the drift, right? What starts as a simple code quickly ends up with a spaghetti billing. The result? This hits your commitment to the customers. Some companies just abandon ideas that might give them a huge growth leap because it's just too time consuming to implement them. And why is that? Because you need to touch your code base again and again and again. Also, most great ideas should bubble up to the senior leadership from the bottom. Let's say your account executive from the sales team just heard a great suggestion on a call with a prospect, or your marketer wants to try out a new pricing experiment. Obviously, you would like your teams to surface these ideas, and that's only going to happen if folks in your company are going to feel that implementing ideas are going to be frictionless. So how many apps does your company use? According to a research by Okta Inc., on average, a business uses 129 apps. Just think about that for a second. And you know what makes it even more complicated? Not just the number, but the fact that they're used across different teams. So sales, marketing, finance, customer success, customer service, all of them use different apps to achieve their business objectives. Think about pushing data to these apps. That's going to be extremely time consuming, especially when other business functions want subscription or billing data in these apps to help them make better decisions. You're going to need a lot of development effort for that as well. However, are your developers going to focus on building the product or work on driving integrations internally? Where do you think they can focus? Let's assume that they spend their time and effort integrating different apps with APIs. Great. However, in a few months, one of your business functions like sales is going to scale. So the set of apps that you will use will change again. The CRM that your sales team used when you were a small team is not going to work when you're processing thousands of leads in a month. You might even switch your payment gateways as you scale to different markets, which means you're going to tax your developers again. End result, your company as a whole will focus on what matters, your product, because that is central to your business. Everything else can and will wait. So you're either going to settle for a bare bones integration or abandon a few in the hope that your team can take it up later. And that spells lost productivity, incomplete workflows, half-baked information for different teams, and as a result, bad decision. So what's in it for BillingOps? Why should you worry? Well, you can be the problem solver here. Instead of sales or marketing coming to you with requests for getting a subscription or billing data and the apps individually, you can have your billing solution as the base that integrates with all of these apps, which brings us to the next topic.